Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a weight loss hypnosis session for a client that was already making progress. They had removed a lot of their unhealthy habits, particularly takeaway food, highly processed food, snacks, and the majority of what they were eating were lean proteins and vegetables. And although the initial goal wasn't to lose weight, they had lost weight already simply by an emphasis on healthy habits. So in this particular session, you're going to hear a metaphor that is designed to do two key things. One, to value the body that they have. And the way that I use a metaphor of a luxury car is to highlight that people sometimes will do more and will treat a car better than their own body because they perceive it to be more valuable. But there's a twist in this session that enables them to really value their own body beyond even the most luxurious car. And then that car takes them on a journey, but the journey enables them to go faster or slower, depending on the choices that they make. And that's a metaphor for the different ways in which people can lose weight. A lot of the time, I see a binary way of perceiving weight loss. Sometimes people will say, I went off track. And what they mean by when they say they went off track is that they're either on the track or off the track. There's no in between. There's no shades of grey. And another unconscious metaphor that can come up is this idea of snakes and ladders, that someone could be making months and months of amazing progress, have one weekend or 1 week where they don't make the best choices, and they'll say, I'm back to square one, using this snakes and ladders metaphor. And if you actually did teleport all the way back to your journey, then of course you would have no motivation, because then you would have to do everything you've done just to get back to where you were. But that rarely is what's actually happening. In most cases, they have a standard or a belief system that if they're not perfect, then somehow it's not worth it and they've failed completely. Another trap of weight loss is there are strings attached, there are rules attached to whatever they're doing. So they're happy to eat healthy so long as they can see consistent progress on the scales. As long as those scales keep going down, then they're willing to eat healthy, without realizing that eating healthy isn't just about weight loss. It is about, things like increasing lifespan, having better skin, better sleep, better energy levels, being happier. All these things are related. But if you measure it just on the scales, you tend to get plateaus in the weight loss journey. And if you have this unconscious rule that says, well, I'll eat healthy only if I'm losing weight every single week, sooner or later you're going to hit a plateau, and that's going to give you the reason to think, what's the point? And then you can go back to doing exactly the behavior you were doing before, which guarantees that you don't lose weight. So in this hypnosis session, using this motorway metaphor, I have things that would represent slow progress or no progress or even setbacks, and highlight that if you were actually on a journey, then the likelihood of turning around after making so much progress would seem counterintuitive, and yet people do that all the time in weight loss. This is designed to help make empowering decisions about weight loss, but also to preempt and pre-handle what could be setbacks in the future. If you are struggling with weight and you feel that you know what to do, you're just not doing it, there will be a link in the show notes that you can schedule a free consultation call to explore working with me. But you might find that this session is actually quite helpful. So find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow any feelings of tension or stress to feel like it's leaving your body in that outward breath. As you breathe in and breathe out, just relax your eyelids. And I want you to position your body in a way where you feel that you can deeply relax. That's it. As you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to feel that you're breathing in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. Breathing out tension, breathing out stress. And as you breathe in and breathe out, you can become more aware of where stress or tension exists in your body. For some people, they keep the tension in their forehead, around their eyebrows. For other people, it might be the jaw. For most people, it's the neck and the shoulders. I want you to scan your body for any muscles that are tense, that don't need to be tense. And the easiest way to discover them is to increase tension in muscles, and then on the outward breath, let go of that tension. And if they feel more relaxed than they were before, then it lets you know that there was tension there. Because it's possible to get used to anything. If you're in a room with a clock, very soon you don't hear it ticking. And if you live on a street with a busy road, it's not long before you don't even hear the traffic outside the window. And I wonder what tension you've just got used to. What inner dialogue has been there so long you just accept it like that's the way that it is. So as you breathe in and breathe out, feel like now is the time to let go. To let go of stress. To let go of tension. To let go of whatever's been blocking you. That's it. I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine your ideal car. Maybe it was an ideal car that you used to think about as a child. Maybe it's a car that you saw in a movie, or a car that you saw and immediately there was a feeling of desire to have that car. I want you to picture it. Picture the car, picture the color. And if you could imagine the most desirable car possible, just let me know by nodding your head. And I want you to think what a car like this might cost. And that if you had a car like this, how you would treat it. Maybe cleaning it regularly, giving it the best fuel, having it maintained to keep it in peak prime condition. And I want you to imagine being offered this car, but with a condition. You can have this car, but you only get to live for one more week. Or you get to have this car for a year on the condition that you lose your arms and your legs. And I don't know how quickly it takes for you to make the evaluation that your life is more valuable than this car, that your body parts are more valuable than this car. And as you make that evaluation, doesn't it stand to reason to treat your body even better than you would treat the most desirable car in the world? You wouldn't have this incredible car and put sugar or syrup or flour in the petrol tank. Everything in your body would say, how could you do such a thing? And yet every day, people have bodies way more valuable than a car and are polluting it with poison and toxic substances, meaning that their own body, their own vehicle, won't last as long as it could. And if your unconscious mind now agrees that your body is more valuable than the most desirable of all cars, let me know by nodding your head. And I want you to imagine now climbing into that car. Climbing into the car, going on a journey. I want you to imagine that it feels good to be in this car. And I want you to imagine the destination that you're going to isn't close. A city far away, hundreds of miles away. And the way to get to that destination is on a motorway. I want you to imagine the tank is full. And I want you to imagine how good it feels to drive this car. And I want you to imagine that, to begin with, you're in the slow lane of the motorway. But you can still enjoy the journey. You're still making progress, even if you're caught behind caravans and lorries. You've got this amazing car that can go incredible speeds, and yet you're still making progress, even if you're just going 50 miles an hour or so. And then every now and then you might overtake something really slow in front of you, maybe get to 70 miles an hour. And you can evaluate that when you're doing that, you're making more progress than if you're in the slow lane. But the slow lane will eventually get you to where you want to get to. And when you're in that faster lane, you could always decide to indicate and move back into that slow lane, or you could stay at that faster speed that you've got used to. And depending on the age of this car and the model, maybe it has cruise control. Maybe you could set it to a speed that feels like it's comfortable for you. That you could just get into the habit, the rhythm of making progress at that speed. And even if it doesn't have cruise control, your mind has the ability to keep a constant speed. And you're still making progress. And I want you to imagine in your life, generally making healthy choices and cutting back on certain foods that are filled with refined carbohydrates and lots of salt and sugar and processed foods is enough. Just the absence of all of that excess food is enough to have you in that slow lane, still making progress. And maybe every time you're in that lane where you're overtaking, perhaps that's the equivalent of consuming a certain number of calories per day, making certain choices, feeling like you're moving in the right direction. And every now and then you could decide that you could eat really healthy, lean chicken, fresh salads. And when you add up all of the calories you've consumed that day, maybe you're lower than you thought you were, and that's the equivalent of really making progress on that motorway in that incredible car. But as time goes on, you can get used to the speed that you're going. And sometimes you can feel like, are you really making progress? Because on some motorways, there's just countryside for miles and miles and no signposts, and even though progress is being made, it's difficult to realize that progress is being made. And I want you to accept the suggestion that when you feel like you're not making progress, this is a test of your resolve, a test of, are you actually willing to get to this destination? If things are too easy, they're not appreciated. The challenges and the adversity is what makes the destination worthy and desirable. I want you to imagine you're on this motorway going at a decent speed, but imagine there is no traffic around you, no signposts, no significant landmarks. So it just feels like perhaps you're a hamster on a wheel, not realizing just how much progress is being made, until you see a signpost and you realize that all of that time you weren't sure if you were making progress itself was progress. I want you to feel like you are unlocking an appetite for progress. As your appetite for food decreases, your appetite for continued progress increases. An insatiable appetite to go on your journey towards your destination. And I want you to think of that destination. What would it be like for you to be at a particular weight, a particular body shape? Why are people so excited when they go on holidays? Because they're thinking about the destination. There's lots about travel and going on holidays that isn't enjoyable. Nobody wants to pack a bag, hang around at airports, go through long queues at passport control. But they do those things because it's necessary for them to get to the destination that they do want to get to. So I want you to think of a big bright move in your mind as to what that destination looks like for you. Seeing yourself slim, healthy, athletic, confident, motivated, healthy, all of the wonderful things that represent a desirable future. I want you to imagine that you've been on this motorway for hours and you've made so much progress. And imagine how it would feel like to have lost a significant amount of body fat. but you're not quite there at your destination yet. And I want you to imagine what would now represent being in that fast overtaking lane. What kind of activities could you do now that your body weight is lower anyway? There's less pressure on your ankles, your knees. Maybe it's walking more. Maybe it's swimming more. Maybe it's taking up a sport or joining a gym. And I want you to imagine on those days that you do that physical activity, as well as making excellent choices with food, that's the equivalent of being on a motorway. Perhaps a motorway like the ones in Germany where there are no speed limits. You can go as fast as you like. And I want you to feel the exhilaration of being in this ultimate desirable car with no speed limits, going as fast as you want, knowing that you're making more progress more quickly on those days than any other days. That itself becomes desirable. But it's not sustainable to always be going so fast. So imagine you can do that and then slow down. And then imagine up ahead, you can see there's a traffic jam. Imagine this is an emotional traffic jam caused by stress or an argument. And I want you to think of all the progress that you've made so far. But temporarily, in this moment in time, you're not making any progress at all. But would it make sense if you made hundreds of miles worth of progress to simply turn around simply because you're in a traffic jam that may only last a few minutes or an hour, when all you need is the patience to get through this difficult period before you can make all of that progress again? And if your unconscious mind feels that you're ready for the traffic jams, the crashes, the temporary setbacks, you're willing to get through those so you can make continued progress again, let me know by nodding your head. I want you to imagine these things are unexpected, unpredictable things that can just happen on your journey. But there's also things that you can do when you choose to do them. And maybe that's the equivalent of pulling into a service station, having a break. And maybe there's special occasions where you don't want to be counting calories and restricting your food. I want you to imagine that pulling into the service station is just giving yourself a break, recharging your batteries. And that is completely fine, so long as the resolve and the desire is still there, that when you leave the service station, you continue on the same journey to the same destination, but almost with a renewed energy to keep moving forward. It would be just as ridiculous to go into a service station and just because you've had a short break, to then decide to go back to your starting point, even though you've made so much progress. If a traffic jam or an accident wouldn't make you turn around, why would you voluntarily having a break make you turn around? I want you to feel that the plateaus, the setbacks are all tests, challenges, testing if you are worthy and deserving to get to the destination. Some people believe that the journey prepares you for the destination. If you woke up tomorrow at exactly the body weight that you wanted to be, you would be deprived of the feelings of confidence and pride and satisfaction And all these emotional qualities like dedication, discipline, determination and tenacity that you would be given while you're on your journey. There's a reason why most lottery winners end up wasting their money so quickly, because they didn't have to go on the journey to be worthy of their rewards. There are people that have cosmetic surgery and can take years of poor decisions and have all of that fat just sucked out of their body. But all they learn is to take the shortcut. And they're deprived of having all of that high self-esteem and confidence that comes from traveling on the journey. And if your unconscious mind accepts that, the journey prepares you for the destination. And the more challenging the journey, the more appealing the destination becomes. Let me know by nodding your head. You can anticipate the challenges. You can foresee the tests. And your attitude is bring it on. You feel that making the progress you're already making means that you're not threatened. You're not worried about these challenges on the horizon, because every challenge you overcome prepares you for the next challenge that may be even more difficult. You are unlocking a self-belief and inner resolve that you can prepare and anticipate and overcome the challenges on your journey. And I want you to imagine there in that car, and imagine what challenges could be there. Stress or uncertainty at work still encourages you to make great choices. Maybe an intense argument or frustration. And think about what you would do so that food does not become a coping strategy. As you anticipate the challenges, and maybe there's 2 weeks in a row where the scales show no progress. And imagine smiling as you have already anticipated this is a test of your resolve. A bluff, if you will. Is this the time you're going to fold? Or is this the time that you're going to raise the stakes and go all in, being willing to bet on yourself and the future you desire and deserve? And then imagine you get through challenge after challenge with even more self-belief, self-confidence that's reflected in your body shape. And then imagine, whether it's months or even a year in the future, I want you to imagine arriving at your destination in this incredible car. But as you leave the car, you are in exactly the body shape that you've always wanted. And imagine at the destination are the people that have known you your whole life. And you're hearing these compliments of, you look great, well done. But the destination itself isn't permission to go back and have all those foods that led you to the very place you wanted to avoid. It's simply evidence that when you make great choices, this body shape is the side effect of living that way. So as you get to the destination, you have a desire to maintain those healthy habits that you've learnt on the way. So you can feel good, be healthy, be happy, and enjoy life. If your unconscious mind is willing to look at this weight loss journey as a journey. That your body is already more precious and valuable than you ever imagined. And you will give your body the fuel that it desires. You have unlocked the ability to overcome setbacks, delays, challenges, and plateaus, giving you a deep conviction. It's not a case of if you will get to your destination. The only question is, when will you get to your destination? And you don't mind if it's sooner or later as long as you get there, but you now have the tools to know how to get there quicker if you choose. Feel like you're stepping into that future version of you where you've lost the weight, gain the confidence, hearing the words of the people that know you the best, and feel that you deserve all of that praise, and feel a feeling of pride and satisfaction and accomplishment, that this isn't something that happened to you. This is something that you earned. You earned this confidence, this health, this vitality. And because you earned it, you value it, not willing to waste it. And if your unconscious mind acknowledges that, let me know by nodding your head. And then it's time to return to the present, but taking all these ways of thinking with you. You are ready for the setbacks and plateaus. You are ready for the challenges. But you're also looking forward to making incredible progress on the journey towards the ideal version of you. Returning to the present as you take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, feeling connected to your body as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.